They spotted a lone Terran vessel on the edge of contested space. No escort. No signal. No fear. Admiral Threx of the Zoran Dominion blinked all four eyes and scoffed. One ship? Send a scout. Or a janitor. The bridge of the Zoran super-dreadnought Dominion's Pride was an exercise in controlled arrogance. Gleaming black obsidian, bioreactive consoles, and a panoramic starlight display that now centered on a curious in the dark. A human ship. Small, unmarked, drifting. Threx waved a claw lazily. Primitive engine signatures. No energy shields. Why is this even flagged? Srin, a spindly insectoid from the Vake hive, adjusted her cranial implants. Terran registry. No known armaments. Likely a scout vessel. Undercrewed. Ambassador Cliv, a round, slimy ambassador from the Floon Coalition, shifted nervously. Then why is it staring? Threx grunted. It's a drifting hunk of steel. It doesn't stare. Actually, Commander Ulka interrupted, voice low. It wasn't drifting an hour ago. It was moving away from us. Then it turned. There was a pause. Everyone looked back at the display. The ship, Terran Registry, TSV Warden, sat perfectly still now, nose aligned directly at the Zoran fleet. Not angled. Not drifting. Locked. Inside the Terran vessel, Captain Ilara Madsen stirred her cold coffee with a protein bar. 3 fleets, 6 different species, 26 capital ships. All staring at little old me, she said, half amused, half tired. Her ship's AI, a bored monotone named Lewis, responded dryly. Technically, they're triangulating your coordinates for simultaneous strike capacity. She sipped. Adorable. The ship had no battle horns, no flashy paint, no slogans. Just gray plating, scorched corners, and stubborn engines. Everything about it screamed retired. Except Ilara. She leaned forward. Time to say hello. Back aboard the Dominion's Pride, a comms alert chimed. Incoming signal, from the human vessel. Threx raised an eyebrow. Put it through. A soft, polite voice filled the bridge. To the gathered fleet. This quadrant has been recently classified under Terran strategic interest. We recommend immediate relocation to avoid unfortunate reprioritizations. With warm regards, Captain Ilara Madsen, TSV Warden. The room went silent for 2 seconds. Then laughter. Even Srin's mandibles twitched. Did she just claim a quadrant? Threx laughed. With what, a coffee machine and goodwill? Cliv was less amused. She sounded confident. She sounded human, Threx spat. They always fake confidence until something explodes. Ilara muted the line and leaned back. Her fingers tapped across the console, lazy but deliberate. Send the bait, she said. Lewis blinked. Launch decoy. No, she grinned. Send the muffin recipe. The AI hesitated. The one with chili powder? Exactly. A compressed data package beamed out, recipe wrapped in encryption layers, masking a passive scan of fleet disposition, weapon frequencies, and command chatter protocols. While the aliens mocked her message, she mapped their nerves. Meanwhile, back on the alien bridge, Threx gave the order. Launch a scout ship. I want that wreck boarded and catalogued. Srin raised one thin limb. Sir, perhaps caution. Denied. The scout launched, a sleek arrowhead piercing the void. As it approached, the warden did nothing. Lights dim. Engines quiet. Then, as the scout reached within 500 meters, pulse. No explosion. No flare. Just a soundless gravitational wave, like space had hiccuped. The scout ship froze mid-flight, instruments blanking, lights gone. Dead. The bridge fell silent again. What just happened? Threx barked. Field compression, Srin whispered. Localized. Extremely precise. No known species can. They can, Ulka said. Apparently. Cliv began vibrating uncontrollably. She didn't fire. There was no beam. No heat signature. No comms. That's not war. That's surgical. A ping. Another message from the human ship. Admiral, we did request polite relocation. We understand galactic real estate is tricky. However, continued crowding may result in defensive inconveniences. Kindly reconsider. Warden crew, all one of us. All one of them? Cliv shrieked. There's just one person on board? Srin was no longer laughing. She's not bluffing. That's a strategic AI vessel. She doesn't need a crew. She wants us to see her alone. Ilara sat back, watching the chaos unfold through long-range telescopes. Give them another few minutes, she murmured. They'll panic soon. Then they'll do something stupid. Lewis chimed in. Is now a good time to activate the remote triggers? Not yet. She took another sip. Let's see how many admirals think they're smarter than a woman with a grudge and too much caffeine. The alien fleet began rearranging. Shields up. Weapon ports hot. Ulkar turned to Threx. Sir, we should fall back. This doesn't feel like a skirmish. This feels like a trap. Threx snarled. It's one ship. Ulkar didn't respond. He was too busy scanning deeper, running comparisons to Terran historical files. What he found froze him. This ship model was decommissioned 30 years ago, but her command signature matches a known Black Ops strategist. Ilara Madsen. Codename, Quiet Knife. Srin dropped her datapad. Cliv fainted. Threx leaned forward, mouth dry. Contact High Command. Inside the Warden, Ilara received the latest telemetry. 3 fleets. Formation tightening. Retreat points narrowing. Weapons now fully charged. She smiled at her reflection in the glass. They're closing the noose, Lewis said. She stood, finally donning her jacket. A plain gray coat with one simple insignia, a single blade piercing a star. They think I'm surrounded, she said. She stepped toward the command console and whispered. But I'm not surrounded. I'm the centerpiece. The scout ship floated, silent and inert, a frozen relic between fleets. No heat, no life signs, no signal. It hadn't exploded. It had simply stopped. Like it realized too late it had trespassed. On the bridge of the Zoran dreadnought, Admiral Threx gritted his teeth. Scan that wreck. I want diagnostics. Heat sigs, neural traces, anything. No neural activity, Srin said, voice flat. It's not disabled. It's been neutered. The systems are intact, but scrambled beyond recovery. Like someone reached in and unplugged the ship's soul. Commander Ulkar shifted in his seat. That takes an intimate understanding of architecture that's not even ours. She's not firing at us, Ambassador Cliv whispered, sweat dripping off his gelatinous neck folds. Why isn't she firing? Threx snapped. Because she's scared. She's playing dead. Ulkar didn't respond. He just stared at the display. The human ship remained still, perfectly aligned with the Zoran fleet's core. That's not fear, he said quietly. That's geometry. On board the Warden, Ilara Madsen stood in front of a console covered in glowing red diagrams. She wasn't looking at them. She was watching a small hologram of a chessboard, one piece left, a queen. Current weapon system status? She asked. Lewis, her AI, responded. All systems remain cold. Strike pattern Theta, 7 has full probability of incapacitation without return fire. Recommend delay for further bait exposure. Ilara nodded. Good. Let them tighten the circle. She reached for her coffee, then paused. You think they've figured out the gravitic net? Lewis didn't even hesitate. No. They believe it was a lucky pulse. Perfect. She took a slow sip. Let's give them another one. Another Zoran strike cruiser moved forward, this one cloaked in ablative shielding. They weren't going to repeat their last mistake. The ship approached with caution, monitoring in silence, every weapon ready, protocols rewritten. As it passed into range, a subtle shift occurred. Not an explosion. Not a flash. A ripple, like a gravitational tremor, rolled across its hull. A hairline fracture on a subspace layer. And the cruiser stopped. Dead. Another frozen ship, drifting like a trophy. 2 ships gone, Srin said quietly. No damage. No debris. She's not fighting. She's disabling. Ulkar turned to Threx. She's mapping us. Every movement, every response. We're in a simulation. Threx barked. Enough. That's one ship. She's posturing. No. Ulkar growled. She's preparing. Cliv shook in his seat. What kind of human sends themselves alone to provoke 3 fleets? Srin didn't look up from her console. The kind that doesn't expect to leave, unless everyone else doesn't. Back on the Warden, Ilara whistled softly as the second cruiser powered down. That one learned, she said. Lewis responded, not fast enough. She clicked open a Terran recipe window. Chili mango muffins. Why is this flagged for weaponized misdirection? Because you used it last time to smuggle quantum virus code to the Jalathi diplomatic mainframe. Right. She chuckled. Diplomats and muffins don't mix. In a distant command relay, a hidden observer blinked to life. Not Zoran. Not Vake. Not Floon. Terran Deep Command, dark and silent until now. Watching from subspace. Transmission delay, 3.2 seconds. A message flickered in encrypted channels. Subject has initiated sequence gray. Commencing observation. Authorization. Cold Garden. On the Dominion's Pride, Threx made a decision. All ships, form up. Prepare full offensive burst. We'll melt her down and rebuild her ship as a garden ornament. Sir, Ulkar warned, that's exactly what she wants. She's taunting us. She's inviting you. Enough. Fire on my mark. Ilara's console lit up. Fleet reconfiguration. Envelopment pattern, concentric rings, Lewis noted. Their artillery is powering up. 76% probability of frontal assault in 30 seconds. Time to clear my throat. She opened her comms to the enemy fleet. Hello again. Just a courtesy reminder. You're currently within a 40,000-kilometer predictive detonation arc. Please don't misinterpret this message as aggression. It's a forecast. Like weather. Only with less rain and more plasma. She paused. Still time to leave. I'd prefer to enjoy the silence with a warm muffin. Then she cut the feed. Srin stared at her readings. She's not bluffing. She's running quantum flux patterns underneath us. Cliv nearly choked. Why? What's she trying to do? Ulkar exhaled. She's not doing anything. She already did it. Threx opened his mandibles wide and shouted, Fire! The first barrage lit the void. Hundreds of plasma bolts, gravlances, EMP shockwaves, antimatter streaks. The space where Warden floated disappeared in white heat. Smoke. Silence. Then, the smoke cleared. And the ship was still there. Not a scratch. Only one new detail. The ship's lights were on now. Ilara sat calmly. She didn't flinch. She didn't respond. She just reached forward and touched a single button. Shall I release Theta 7? Lewis asked. Not yet. Let them panic. She leaned back. Humanity isn't known for being first to strike. But when we do... She smiled. We don't do repeats. Ulkar stood in stunned silence. That was a full barrage. She didn't even raise shields. She absorbed it, Srin whispered. Her ship. It's not even reflecting heat. It's bleeding it. Cliv collapsed to the floor, gibbering. We've angered a ghost. Threx was pale, sweating. I want every ship to fire again. Full override. We end this. Srin stopped him. You can't. Why? Because she's transmitting something. The console buzzed. A message arrived in Old Terran text format. Your fleet's positions have been logged. Thank you for participating in our demonstration. Phase 2 initiating in 90 seconds. At that exact moment, sensors across every alien vessel pinged. Hundreds of new contacts. Not from warp. Not from space. From inside subspace. A Terran fleet. Cloaked. Hidden. Waiting. Decloaking signatures lit up like fireflies in the dark. Ilara watched the board light up. One by one, Terran ships joined her on the grid. Quiet, perfect formation. No flash. No sound. The Warden never came alone. The void blinked. Not metaphorically. Literally. Sensors across the Zoran, Vake, Jurai, and Floon command ships registered a sudden drop in visible space. One moment it was just the human ship. The next, 58 Terran warships decloaked in a seamless formation around her. Silent. Still. Positioned like they'd always been there. Admiral Threx couldn't speak. Not out of confusion. Out of recognition. He knew those hull signatures. Those weren't standard Terran Navy. They were old Earth black systems. Ships that didn't officially exist. Experimental ghosts. Impossible, Srin muttered, her multi-limbed hands frozen on the console. That class of vessel was dismantled decades ago. They signed treaties. They did, Ulkar whispered. And then they built better ones. In the dark. Cliv had dropped to the floor and was quietly weeping. I want diplomatic immunity. I'll change sides. I'll convert. I'll bake muffins. Shut him up, Threx growled. His claws trembled on the armrest. Why haven't they fired yet? No answer. No one knew. Because the Terrans didn't need to fire. Their presence alone was calculated violence. Every ship was positioned within counterstrike distance of the enemy's weakest points. No warnings. No speeches. Just inevitability. Inside the Warden, Ilara Madsen smiled. Genuinely, this time. Fleet is in position, Lewis confirmed. Silent protocols holding. Cloak delay on re-engagement synced. All targets locked. Ilara didn't look up. She was watching a vid feed of the Zoran flagship. She could see the Admiral pacing. I'm giving them a moment to think, she said. Lewis responded, they're not thinking. They're panicking. Shall we begin? Soon, she said. They haven't asked the right question yet. On board the Dominion's Pride, Ulkar spoke first. This wasn't a defense. Threx shot him a glare. What? Ulkar stepped forward, slow and steady. His voice dropped into something quiet. Something meant to be heard, not argued. This was never about the Warden. That was a decoy. The real operation was waiting for us to gather. To surround her. Srin caught on. It was a simulation. They wanted to see how we'd respond to a helpless target. Tactically. Emotionally. Ulkar nodded grimly. We fed them everything. 35 seconds to strike opportunity window, Lewis reported. Theta. 7 holds full advantage. 93% probability of zero retaliation. Ilara didn't move. She sipped her coffee. It had gone cold again. No matter. She preferred it bitter when dealing with adversaries. Let them sweat, she murmured. This isn't just about winning. She leaned toward the console. It's about making them understand. Threx barked. Full retreat. Scramble hyperspace drives. Pull us out. No, Ulkar said suddenly. Everyone froze. What did you say? Threx hissed. If we run now, we don't just lose the battle. We lose the map. Everything we revealed, their AIs will have learned it. Stored it. Modeled us. We'll never be able to counter them again. Srin backed him. He's right. We have to negotiate. Contain the data. You want to talk to her? Threx spat. I want to survive, Ulka said. Incoming transmission. From the warden. Ilara appeared on screen, calm, arms crossed, standing casually in front of a star map filled with glowing red zones. Good evening, she began, her tone friendly, conversational, eerily relaxed. Before anyone does something irreversible, I wanted to offer context. Threx snarled. You attacked us. No, Admiral. You surrounded me. I simply chose not to run. Your fleet was never far. We just didn't want to interrupt while you were posturing. A pause. Ilara stepped forward in the feed. Here's the part one want you to understand, she said, voice soft but sharp. This isn't a battle. This is a conversation about restraint. You see, humans don't start wars. We end patterns. She gestured behind her. Each of your fleets entered this quadrant after minor Terran assets were, accidentally, destroyed. That pattern has occurred 7 times across the galaxy. You thought we'd keep talking. That we'd keep documenting. Appealing. Waiting. Another pause. She tilted her head slightly. You were wrong. Ulka whispered to no one in particular. This is a doctrine reveal. A new one. Threx looked around. What doctrine? Preemptive containment, Srin replied. Human strategy from Earth's early nuclear era. Find the threat. Isolate it. Then box it in so tightly it either collapses or behaves. Cliv spoke, shivering. What happens if we don't behave? The screen flickered again. A new image replaced Ilara. A galaxy map. Flashing red zones. Each one was a known alien fleet route. Each one was marked. Monitored. Modeled. Mapped. Ilara's voice returned. Every major fleet movement. Every hostile whisper. Every strategic drill. Logged. Simulated. Filed. She smiled again. There was no pride in it. Just fact. This trap didn't take days to set. It took years. Back on the alien bridge, Threx was breathing hard. Disable their comms. Fire on all Terran vessels. Now. No, Srin said sharply. We fire now, we die now. There's no win scenario left. I'm a fleet admiral, Threx shouted. You were, Ulka said coldly. Ilara sent one final transmission. It was brief. Final warning. We request your withdrawal. Refusal will result in data-level purges of your command architectures. You won't just lose ships. You'll lose doctrine, language, history. Kindness is our default. But we don't forget how to be dangerous. This message will self-delete in 20 seconds. Ulka turned to the others. She's giving us a door. Cliv wailed. Then walk through it. Run through it. I'll crawl if I have to. Threx stood silent. Defeated. He finally gave the order. All fleets, withdraw. Back aboard the Warden, the red lights on Ilara's board dimmed one by one. Terran fleet ships held formation, silent and still. No celebration. No motion. They didn't need to chase. They'd already won the war of perception. Lewis spoke. Enemy fleets retreating. Estimated time to quadrant clearance. 17 minutes. Ilara nodded. Hold cloak. Let them go. And after that? She looked out the viewport. After that, she whispered, we wait. Because the next time they see one Terran ship. She smiled softly. They'll remember this one. The alien fleets pulled back, slowly, cautiously, like prey reversing out of a predator's den. They didn't fire. Didn't even scan. They simply retreated, one engine burst at a time, as if loud noise might provoke the trap they'd finally realized they were inside. Captain Ilara Madsen stood alone on the command deck of the Warden, arms crossed, silent as the stars. Status? She asked. Lewis, her AI, answered without inflection. All enemy vessels in withdrawal pattern. No re-engagement signatures. Stealth fleet remains undetected. Casualties? 0. Human side. 2 disabled enemy cruisers. No fatalities confirmed. Ilara nodded once, then turned away from the viewport. Begin full memory wipe on the Warden's NAV logs. Tag only encrypted blacknet entries for retrieval. Confirmed, Lewis replied. Operation Grey Lure concluded. She exhaled through her nose. Quiet. Heavy. A long time coming. Aboard the Jurai flagship, Ulkar watched the screen as the human ships returned to cloak. One by one, they vanished. Not in a flourish. Not with sound. They simply ceased to be seen. Like they'd never existed. Was this a warning shot? Srin asked beside him. No, Ulkar said, gaze fixed forward. It was a demonstration. Of what? That they could have destroyed us, and chose not to. Srin clicked her mandibles. They built the net around us without firing a single weapon. Ulkar nodded. That's what makes it terrifying. Back inside the Warden, Ilara walked slowly down the corridor to the storage bay. It wasn't grand, just reinforced steel and sealed crates. But one crate in the corner had a different mark. Terran Strategic Command. Codex Unit 27. She opened it. Inside, a simple photo. A small colony on New Petra. Burned, scorched. A child's toy half melted beside rubble. The date. 14 months ago. That attack was ruled uncertain. No evidence. No retaliation. Until now. She set the frame upright, brushing dust from its edge. This wasn't about the fleet, she murmured. It was about the message. In the depths of Terran subspace, buried relays flickered online. A signal pulsed outward across encrypted channels. A phrase passed quietly between ships that did not exist, captains with no public record, fleets that operated under no flag. Protocol Garden is viable. Quiet knife confirms containment. Ilara returned to the command deck. The map of the sector was empty now. No alien ships. No noise. Lewis broke the silence. Do you think they'll return? Eventually, she replied. Arrogance doesn't die. It sleeps. And when it wakes? She stared out into the dark. They'll remember what it cost them to look away the first time. Later that night, if time had meaning in deep space, Ilara accessed her private comm log. A message awaited her. No encryption. Just raw text. You did what command wouldn't. You showed them. We remember New Petra, too. DS Fleet Division. Shadow Arc 9. She deleted the message without response. Some wounds weren't meant to close. Back on the Floon Coalition ship, Cliv was already filing an emotional trauma waiver. He trembled as he typed, looking back at the empty space where the Terran ship had stood. I will never laugh at their muffins again, he whispered. In the Vake archives, Srin submitted a scientific anomaly report. It was rejected instantly, labeled strategically sensitive. She recorded a private log. Terrans are not apex predators because of strength or numbers. They are predators because they let you think they aren't. Until you breathe in, and realize they're already behind you. On the Zoran dreadnought, Admiral Threx remained seated, hands unmoving. He watched the blank starfield where moments ago he'd seen the face of a woman sipping coffee and explaining, calmly, that his entire command structure had been dissected like a frog in a lab. He didn't speak for hours. Eventually, he sent a private message to High Command. Reconsider all assumptions about Earth. Reclassify Terran civilization. Not aggressive. Deliberate. Not primitive. Patient. They don't play games. They lay traps and invite you inside. Ilara finally stepped out of uniform. She placed the rank patch, Captain, Strategic Recon Division, into a small drawer. Next to it was a civilian badge, unused, scratched by age. She didn't wear either anymore. The title didn't matter. Not after what she'd seen. What she'd done. She stared at the star map one final time and issued the last command of the day. Lewis. Log file closure. Operation Garden. Tag result as tactical compliance enforced without loss. Lewis blinked. Log complete. Anything else? She took a long pause. Then, remind me next time. Bring a second coffee. Logged. And just like that, the warden powered down its active systems and re-engaged Cloak. The stars swallowed it whole. Quiet again. As if nothing had ever happened. As if it had only been a rumor. Just a story. Final line. Narrator voice. They tracked a single human ship. Then it turned to face them. And everything went quiet.